just has to take it. I don't think he one-times it, but he gets it off pretty quick. Not much Gibby can do on that play. And Evander Kane, surprisingly enough, this is his first playoff game, and he gets his first playoff goal.
Yeah, he's been waiting to go into the playoffs, apparently, right? He looked good.
Yeah.
He's been really, really good on the Sharks team since he came over in the trade.
Mm-hmm.
The Ducks broadcast ended up saying about him, like, it's real easy to be a positive part of a good team. When you're on a team that's not so good, things happen in the room, things are different. But all accounts, he's been a great teammate in San Jose. He mentioned to change the scenery. I wanted him to come to Anaheim.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been upset about that coming to Anaheim. I saw that on Twitter tonight too. Like, Evander Kane. I was like, but what about the baggage people are saying? It's like, come on.
But what baggage though? Like, look at what he's done in San Jose. Have we seen any of the concerns that people had about the baggage that he was bringing over there? You haven't heard about it since he ended up getting traded. You've heard nothing about that since he's been with the San Jose Sharks.
No, he's been great. And I'm not trying to minimize what he got accused of or what happened to him in Buffalo. At all. But people change. New scenery, fresh people, fresh city. It's a completely different atmosphere in San Jose, and he's really been kicking ass since he's gotten to the Sharks, and he had a hell of a first playoff game. So right there, it'd be 1-0 Sharks. Cogs with some chances shorthanded, and if I read this right on NHL.com, the Ducks had 9 shots on goal shorthanded. That's triple the amount they had on their power play. That's incredible to me.
I'm not surprised.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's a big number. It's a big number, but the Ducks' power play's been so bad, and the Ducks have actually looked pretty decent all season on the penalty kill. I don't know if they led the league in shorthanded goals, but I feel like they got a decent amount. I'd have to double check that stat, but they've always looked like they're pretty dangerous on the penalty kill. But 9 shots, and you said they had 3 on the power play, which is not good. They didn't get a ton of power play opportunities, and of course they had 6 chances on the penalty kill. They get some shots shorthanded, but something's got to get worked out with this power play. We've talked about that endlessly all season, how it's just been awful, and they haven't really been able to work things out. That was the same case in this game where it didn't look good at all, but the Ducks' offense as a whole was pretty much anemic throughout the entire game, but the power play plays a big part in that.
So, after Cogs had his shorthanded chances, Couture, we're talking about hitting post. Kessler hit one earlier. Couture would hit one off the post here on the power play. Then you would see the Getz-Raquel line kind of start buzzing. But they didn't really get a lot of grade A chances. There was a few here and there, but, the biggest one for Raquel is when he ends up hitting a skate in front of the net after he dangled the defense. And then I mentioned Burns. I felt like Burns was creating havoc everywhere. And the Ducks eventually get caught on a bad line change. Evander Kane goes in on a 3-on-1 with Pavelski. He gets fed over, and he walks in on Gibby and dekes him, goes crashing into the goalpost. It's 2-0. Gibson again with no chance. I don't know how you fault this guy on any of these goals tonight, especially the last 2 there. Not much you can do there, and all of a sudden it's 2-0 Sharks.
You can't really fault him on any of them. If you had to pick one, I guess you can pick the first goal on the power play. But again, Kane was all alone in the slot on that one. On this one, it's a 3-on-1. And then, essentially a 2-on-1 with Pavelski and Kane, the 2 deadliest players on the Sharks offense, and there's not much you can do. Kane is in alone and is able to deke Gibson. Gibson does a pretty good job too. Kane has to go full stretch to sneak that into the far side, but I feel bad for Gibson because he was kind of left out to dry. That's been the case in a lot of games all season. But Evander Kane, again, this guy is just deadly since coming over to the Sharks. It's insane that they're able to only give up a second-round pick. And, of course, even if they just signed him, even if they sign him in the offseason, it's just a first-round pick. And you would assume if they go far enough, it's going to be a late first-round pick. So, this deal just continues to look better and better for the Sharks.
And he's only 26. It's not like he's 30. And if they give him a decent deal, 4-year, 5-year deal, he's going to be solid for him for those years. And I don't know. It's a great pickup. I'm a little jealous that he didn't come to Anaheim.
Yeah.
Not too long after Kane would pot his second, Brent Burns just through a maze of players. All 5 Ducks were caught down low in front of John Gibson. No chance for Gibby there. It goes through the traffic, right between Gibson's legs, and now it's 3-0. Brent Burns is doing Burns things.
Yeah, and that third line for San Jose that we mentioned earlier on as well, they were dominating play on this goal, and it led to Burns getting the point shot. And then I don't think anybody gets a tip on it, but it does it not hit something and go down? Because I feel like Gibson thinks this is going high, and then it ends up going lower into the net. I'd have to watch the replay again, but it was a weird one for sure because it goes through traffic and ends up finding its way into the net. Not much Gibby can do on that play, but all the offense that was getting generated by this third line for San Jose is just surprising. I mean, we'd broken down the game on this show and in other places as well and talked about how the Sharks have a very deep team, but it's going to come down to which lines can produce consistently. And this line was a surprise for the Sharks. I mean, Henry, Cash, and Ritchie were, for lack of a better word, awful on the night for the Ducks. And this line for the Sharks stepped up and was one of the better lines of the entire hockey game.
Yeah, what do you think happened with that Henrique line tonight? I mean, they just got eaten alive. Just very uncharacteristic for them. I was very surprised just because they've always been pretty even, or on the positive side of things. I don't know what it was. I'd have to go look at what line mates or what opposition they played against. Did you see who they were up against the whole night?
Last time I checked it was like it varied a lot, and I'm gonna pull it up real quick because Adam Henrique's the first guy who comes up. So if you look at Adam Henrique and who he played against the entire night, Timo Meier is number 1. This is 5-on-5. Eric Ferrer, Melker Karlsson, Chris Tierney, and Marcus Sorensen, and then Kevin LeBanc. So it looks like Adam Henrique in that entire line. I'm going to pull up Nick Ritchie as well just to double check, but they played against the Sharks' third and fourth line and got completely caved in. And they played some time against the first and second line, but not a lot. And it looks like the same goes for Nick Ritchie as well. So they got caved in by the Sharks' third line, which did have a very good night, and then their fourth line as well, which isn't a great showing. I mean, you're hoping that that's a favorable matchup for that Ducks' third line and how well they've been all season. And it's not like they're even really facing the Pavelski or the Couture line on a regular basis, and they just had an awful night. I mean, they couldn't get anything going. The only guy I really noticed was Ondrej Kase, and I think that's really when he got bumped up to the first line with Rakell and Getzlaf. That's when he really started getting things going for him. And Adam Henrique I noticed a couple times. Nick Ritchie I barely noticed, at least offensively. A couple times he threw the body and was getting involved after the whistle, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, no, not much cooking for them at all. It was very poor performance from them. On the positive side of things, though, the Kessler line did look a lot better, which we'll get into after we get through this third period, which I'm about to jump on right now, because the rest of the second period was not really anything happening other than I thought it was kind of an unfair call. Perry is the only one who goes to the box after a melee ensues. Perry kind of bumps into Jones after getting shoved. Everyone goes nuts. Getzlaf and Burns tie up. I thought there was going to be a fight, but it was mostly the Ducks being upset and frustrated. And Perry's reputation getting the better of him there as he serves the minor at the end of the period, or towards the end of the period, and just another penalty. I mean, it just wasn't going the Ducks' way tonight when it comes to the referees.
Yeah, I mean, the refs were at the wrong end of some of these calls, but really the Ducks killed themselves on most of them. I mean, the Kessler penalty we already talked about. The first one he had was dumb. The one later on in the game that really much killed any momentum the Ducks could have was a stupid penalty. It was a bad interference call. He really didn't have to throw the Sharks player to the ice. I mean, he was just frustrated. And I can't blame him for being frustrated, but you have to channel that a different way. And you can't take a penalty, especially late in the game. I know it's 3-0, but there's still 6 minutes remaining. There's plenty of time to get something going, get a goal, and then pull the goalie and have a chance to tie the game. I mean, the Ducks have done it before. And the discipline was not good. And it's been a trend all season. And it's something the Ducks are going to have to work on for this next game. Because you can't give this Sharks power play the amount of opportunities they had. I mean, the Ducks got lucky that they only got one power play goal tonight. And it was on a 5-on-3 because San Jose easily could have scored 2 or 3 more, the chances that they were given.
No, it's true. They didn't look good. And the second period, and then 3-0 Sharks. My notes for the end of that were Evander Kane and Brent Burns are money. I just felt like they were dominant in the first half of this game. Going into the third period, I don't know what you want to talk about in this third period because I really felt that it was just clogged the neutral zone hockey for the Sharks. The Ducks couldn't get anything in on Jones for a grade A opportunity. The rebound chances in this game, I felt like all over the place. Whenever they had a chance to get a puck towards the net on a rebound, there was a Shark stick in the way, a Shark skate in the way. They did a great job in shutting down the Ducks offense. They just couldn't get anything through. There was just nothing going through on net. And as you said, when it comes to penalties, Kessler would take another penalty in this third period, the interference against Logan Couture. Just undisciplined. And I know we all love Kessler. I do too. but a pretty undisciplined game for him to be able to take 2 penalties like that in a game which they're losing. So this third period, though, man, did you see any light in the tunnel for the Ducks heading out of this third period? Just because I felt like they were just ready to scrap the game and get ready for Saturday.
I mean, the shot attempts were actually even, I believe, for most of this period. I'd have to double check here, but I think they were better than the first and second, but you didn't really see it. They actually turned the tide of the Ducks in the third period. Had 26 scores for against 14 against, so they actually controlled the third period somewhat. I think it's more of the Sharks just sitting back and really not trying to get anything going on offense. I mean, they're up 3-0. And they were doing a good job defending already. They were just going to sit back and pick their chances throughout this one. But the funny thing is the Ducks' best chances in this game came off the flukes that came off the boards. The Silfverberg shot that almost went in and bounced in off Martin Jones. There was another play where it came off the boards and almost went in off Jones. Those are really the best chances the Ducks had. And they were flukes, other than Kessler hitting the post. And that was pretty much it. It was just such a bad game from the Ducks all around. Not what we really expected them to do coming out of the gate after such an exciting finish to the season, winning 5 games in a row. You thought, they're going to come in hot. The Sharks are coming in losing 5 of their last 6. And it looked like it was the other way around. It looks like the Ducks had just rattled off 6 losses straight coming into the postseason and continued that play in the first game here.
Yeah, if you don't make the opposing goaltender work, it's going to be real tough to beat them and take the win.
Yeah.
The star players for the Sharks took over this game. Looking just down the stat line here, Evander Kane with 6 shots on goal. Timo Meier, not even a star on the Sharks. Good player. 5 shots on goal. Thomas Hertl, 4 shots on goal. So, just some notables there. Burns, you would expect to have a bunch of shots, and he did. He had 9.
Yeah.
He had 9 shots of their 34 shots on goal. So, involved everywhere. He played 28 minutes. Just a great game by the Sharks. Great road game. I felt like they got the lead and then shut her down. And the Ducks, even though they may have controlled the possession side of things and the shot share, they just weren't dangerous in the third period enough to come close to getting a goal. I like how it says they had, what was this on here? 41 hits to 22 for the Ducks, so that doesn't buy you goals.
No.
They really need to focus on trying to get the pucks in the net there and get rid of the sideshow of trying to rough up the Sharks and get them to take penalties, because it's not happening. The Ducks were on the wrong side of that all night.
Yeah, I feel like the Ducks got away from what was making them so successful in the last 5 games of the regular season, and a lot of that is credit to the way the Sharks played throughout this entire game. They just suffocated the Ducks' offense pretty much from puck drop. The Ducks couldn't get anything going because of how well the Sharks were playing defensively, and that's honestly something I didn't expect from this team going into this series. I knew they were going to be good defensively, but I actually thought the Ducks had the edge. And it was just the system that the Sharks employed. The Ducks had no answer for it. And I don't know if it's going to be the same thing the Sharks go with in Game 2, but I'm sure you're not going to fix something that's not broken. So the Ducks are going to have to come into that game with an answer to that. Otherwise, they're going to end up going into San Jose down 2-0.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but this game would end 3-0, and the Sharks would take the 1-0 series lead. Game 2 back at Honda Center on Saturday night. So everyone's looking forward to that. Let's get to the post game here, Eddie. Let's talk about Pettersson and Welinski. I think it seems like a good place to start, just because we've already talked about the shot share and how all the periods went. Now getting to the post game here, Randy Carlyle did something that we didn't think he was going to do. I really thought he was going to have a veteran presence in there, at least a Holzer, if Bieksa wasn't ready, but he went with the kids. Was that the right idea or the wrong idea? How do you feel about Pettersson and Welinski in this game too, or in this game?
Yeah, it was a weird decision because Holzer got sent down to San Diego, and we kind of all thought that Bieksa was going to be ready to go. And then we get the lineups, and you see Pettersson and Welinski, and it ends up being the wrong decision, I think. Obviously we don't know because Bieksa wasn't in the game, so we don't know how that outcome would have been. But I felt like he would have been a little bit more of a calming presence down on that blue line with Marcus Pettersson. Welinski looked okay. He had a couple chances offensively. Pettersson took a bad penalty in the first period and then really just wasn't that great. And that pairing was statistically the worst for the Ducks of the night, which isn't a surprise. This is what we expected, isn't it? We talked about how it could be scary going into Game 1 with these two on the bottom pairing and being their first playoff game in their careers. and it really turned out the way we expected it. I would think that Bieksa is probably in for Game 2 if he's ready to go. He was a scratch tonight.